I am Noriko Bolko, and this is Uncut News. The police are currently investigating an alleged act of arson this afternoon that reduced an auto shop on the East Coast to ashes. The incident occurred at around 2 p.m. at a shop in Lusignan. According to initial reports, 2 employees were in the building when a customer approached and asked about a certain vehicle part. The customer then allegedly threw a piece of paper into the office. Shortly after, an explosion occurred and the building was engulfed in flames. The suspect immediately fled the scene. The owner of the shop said he estimates his losses to be around $8 million. Noble Corporation recently announced that the contract for its operations offshore Guyana has been extended. Its ultra-deepwater drill ship called the Noble Tom Madden was previously contracted until February 2024. However, that contract with Exxon has now been extended until August 2030. The company said that ExxonMobil will be given the flexibility to transfer the term between other drill ships in its fleet. Most analysts view the contract extension as a positive development, as it shows that Exxon is confident that they will continue to find more oil well into this decade, and probably give us more chances to get shafted out of our own oil over the next decade. This morning, 2 men died in an accident on the Chateau Mongeau public road east coast of Marara. The 2 are 24-year-old Kevin Passard and 52-year-old Lionel Brower. According to the police, the motor car driven by Passard collided into the rear of the motorcycle. Passard reportedly lost control of his vehicle and crashed into a canal on the northern side of the road, while Brower was pitched off of his bike about 100 feet from the point of impact. Both drivers were taken to the Georgetown Public Hospital, where they were pronounced dead on arrival. Best Buy Auto Sales is Guyana's #1 auto dealer. Their prices are competitive and they sell their vehicles with warranty, so you can have some peace of mind. Visit their showrooms at 171 Peter Rose Street, Queenstown, or Lot 2 Lamaha Street, Georgetown, and find out about their special Christmas deal. 35-year-old Anitha Quelis, the mother of 4 who admitted to trafficking ganja to support her 4 children, was today sentenced to 2 years imprisonment and fined $754,000. The minimum punishment for the offense is 3 years in prison, but the magistrate agreed with the woman's attorney that there was sufficient reason to go below the mandatory minimum sentence. The attorney also, but unsuccessfully, tried to get her released on compassionate grounds. He explained that Quelis was a victim of sexual abuse from a young age and was not allowed to attend secondary school as she had her first child at 15 years old. She also stated that her husband had abused her physically, emotionally, and financially for years before he abandoned the family to work in the interior. She said that she only decided to move the drugs after she recently lost her job. The attorney also noted that this was Quelis' first run-in with the law. Nevertheless, she'll be spending the next 2 years of her life in New Amsterdam prison. People, here is another example of a citizen the state has failed. In fact, it failed this woman since her childhood. This was clearly the actions of a desperate woman who made the mistake of being poor. Hell, if she were the child of a politician, she'd probably be able to drunkenly attempt to shoot a cop and get off, or shoot a white headmaster of a top private school, or even attempt to steal an election and face no punishment. Speaking of attempting to steal an election, this morning the deputy CEO of GCOM, Roxanne Myers, was slapped with 2 misconduct charges in relation to that recent dumpster fire hot mess we called a general election. She was not required to plead to the charges. Myers was released on $300,000 bail and is expected back into court October 23rd. But you know who probably isn't going back into court? The actual intellectual authors of this scam. Oh well. A traffic rank was busted this week after he was caught trying to get a fine piece of change from a minibus driver at Starbrook Market. Seriously, he was busted. In a press release, the Ministry of Home Affairs said that the officer had pulled the man over and requested his documents. Since he was missing his fitness, the cops sent the man home to retrieve the fitness and $5,000. Instead, the driver reported the matter to Robeson Ben, who then called for a sting operation. The transaction was recorded, and the officer has since been removed and is expected to face disciplinary measures. Do you remember the Bayesian ganja boat bust? Of course you do! I only reported on it yesterday. Haha! Well, one of the crew members was sentenced to 3 years in prison and fined $51.9 million after he pleaded guilty for possessing the devil's lettuce. He also took the rap for his 5 other crewmen who were arrested during the bust. Asian national Michael Ford of Luke Avenue, Dayville, St. Michael, Barbados, pleaded guilty and did not give any explanation to the court because he ain't snitching. 3 other crewmen were all released and the charges were dropped against them. The 2 others who were arrested, James Emptage and Clyde Outridge, did not appear in court. Don't fall for these get-rich-quick schemes, people. There is a legit way you can earn some extra cash to supplement your existing hustle. Sell top-up. You could become a top-up vendor quick and easy by linking Cellular Plus. Call them on telephone number 685-31094 for more info. It's now time for your daily Rona report. Today, the nation recorded 29 new Rona cases, but we have reached a new grim milestone as the total number of deaths now stands at 100. There are now 15 persons in the ICU and 948 persons in home isolation. The total number of known cases in the country is now 3,358. So please, people, wash your hands frequently, avoid touching your nose and mouth, and mask up before you leave the house. When you do leave home, try to avoid enclosed spaces and large crowds, and remember to give 6 feet of space between you and other. Now, let's take a look at news in the region. The cash-strapped regional airline Liat is likely to return to the skies next month. However, Barbados and St. Vincent governments have agreed to sell their shares, leaving Antigua and Barbuda and Dominica as the only major shareholder government of the Antigua-based airline. So good luck to them, because many other airlines have actually come in to fill the void since they've been gone, but again, good luck. Sugar production and ethanol exports have increased sharply in Brazil during the month of September as mills entered the final weeks of the current season, industry group Unica said on Friday. Brazil's sugar output reached 2.86 million tons in the second half of September, 59% more than in the same period a year earlier. Unica said ethanol exports increased 65% in September to 331 million liters as mills take advantage of the weak currency to boost foreign sales. To give you an idea, 2.86 million tons for that 2-week period is not bad, but it just makes us look sad when you think that Guy Suko is considering 150,000 tons a year an accomplishment. Now is a good time to remind you that robbery season is back. If I were you, I would consider getting security for the home of business. Sheriff Security Service is a good choice. I find that they are the most professional with well-trained, armed or unarmed guards. Get some security this Christmas, people. And now for our weird news story of the day. It's official. Every time residents of Danbury, Connecticut flush their toilets, they'll be sending their special deliveries to the John Oliver Memorial Sewer Plant. The City Council voted 18-1 on Thursday night to rename the sewage plant after the comedian who has basically been at war with the city since August. The renaming was originally a joke in response to him dissing the city. Mayor Mark Boughton had said the city was going to name it after Oliver, quote, because it's full of crap, just like you, Oliver, end quote. But instead of taking it as an insult, Oliver actually dared them to change the name. They didn't, so he even offered to donate $50,000 to local charities if Danbury actually followed through with the renaming of the plant. So he acquiesced. The mayor also added that he will be offering tours of the sewer plant for $500 donations to local food pantries. Moving on to our Uncut News Viewers Poll question of the day. Every day we pose a question about current events in Guyana, the region, the diaspora, and how you feel it relates to us. So, you give your responses in the comments, and we will read the best ones in the following episode. Yesterday's question was, how should we invest oil money? Reinvest it into another stock market or another sort of more profitable market and then bring it back, or just give it directly into the people or to the economy. Christopher Duncan said, I think the money should be reinvested on an oil refinery. Javed Hanif said, I believe the money should come straight to the Guyanese people to help build the economy. Instead of investing, who knows if the next government come back in power. History will repeat itself and the money disappear. Adam Passard said, definitely, the government has to invest in the infrastructure of the country. I think the sea defenses is critical for our future. And for sure, I would welcome a cash grant for the people. And finally, Osiris said, the funds should be invested into the country in a way to allow for job creation. Good answers, people. So tonight I leave you with this question. An officer of the law has been caught receiving a bribe due to a sting operation. Do you think more of such operations should be done to curb bribery? Think about that question and tell us in the comments below. If your response is good, we just might feature it in our next episode. Anyway, that's all the time we have for tonight. Until next time, I'm Noriko Bullford saying, have a great weekend. And as always, don't drink and drive, or you'll end up on Monday's episode the hard way. Ha ha! Good night, folks. Hey, Uncut News viewers, thanks for watching. You can subscribe by clicking on this button over here, or click over there for more news. You can also drop a comment to let me know if you've made it to the end of the video. Goodbye for now.